the GeekaWhat channel, I'm a big advocate for building the best gaming PC you can with the parts currently available on the market. I see people wait all the time for mystical new hardware on the horizon, only to be disappointed, have to spend more money, and ultimately wait a long time before building their new system. But is now actually a genuinely terrible time to build a gaming PC based on well-documented hardware issues, dubious pricing currently in the market, and a range of new CPUs and GPUs expected very soon. Today, I'm going to be dissecting it and figuring out whether now is really a bad time to build. Take your audio up a level with the NZXT Relay high fidelity audio ecosystem. Whether it's the impressive 80-watt Relay speakers for great desktop audio, or the Relay subwoofer that adds that much welcome bass kick, Relay lets you elevate your audio game. What's more, their switch mix with built-in DAC allows easy control over your audio, and you can switch audio outputs easily by just picking up the Relay headset. One that features DTX Headphone X for 3D spatial sound. Check out our review of the Relay in the cards now, or buy one for yourself at the first link below. There are many good things about building a gaming PC right now. DDR5 is the cheapest it's been in a long time, latencies have fallen and performance is now comparable to last gen's DDR4 memory. SSD pricing is really low, especially for super fast Gen 4 drives. You can commonly find a decent 1TB option for under $70 and 2TB drives for not much more than $100. New RTX 3.0 compliant power supplies that have the native Gen 5 PCI cable are also falling in price and even going lower than their previous non-ATX 3.0 counterparts. And to top all of that off, Ryzen 7000 CPUs, which are arguably the best bet for a gaming build right now, are the cheapest I've seen CPUs in a long time. But we're undoubtedly approaching a bit of a crossroad. AMD's Ryzen 9000 CPUs are pretty much here, and Intel's next 15th gen of processors look to be very soon too. What's more, there's an increasing number of rumours about RDNA 4 GPUs, that's AMD's next-gen lineup of graphics cards, and of course, perhaps more importantly, RTX 50 series, which is shaping up to be an exciting prospect. I'm going to cover all of that, but first talk about the current situation with Intel and why that further compounds the fact now might be a terrible time to build a gaming PC. Now, if you've not seen the well-documented issues with Intel's 13th and 14th gen, users have been seeing horrendous instability issues, to the point where Intel have now put out a statement confirming that a number of 13th and 14th gen CPUs have been prone to operating at a higher voltage than intended, causing high temperatures and of course instability. This is an issue that doesn't just affect one or two chips, but the i9 and i7 SKUs from both the 13th and 14th gen lineups. And to add to Intel's woes, 14th gen is perhaps one of the worst reviewed CPU releases Intel have released in a long time. High temperatures and minimal performance gains over 13th gen, derived from the fact that 14th gen was basically just 13th gen plus, with more power delivery and faster clock speeds, mean there aren't actually that many great CPU options right now. AMD's Ryzen lineup is a slightly better story, but even that too has a large asterisk above it. Ryzen 7000 is fantastic, and there are some great CPUs to pick from. The 7600, 7800X3D, and 7900X are three of my favourites. Now, Ryzen 9000 is pretty much here, and we're expecting good things across the board, but these CPUs, when they land, are going to undoubtedly be more expensive than their current Ryzen 7000 counterparts, at least if the pricing rumours and leaks are true. And to compound things further, we're not actually expecting to see AMD bring out Ryzen 9000 X3D CPUs for a little while yet. X3D is basically where AMD stack the cache, unlocking a load more L3 cache and far better gaming performance. These CPUs are perhaps expected in September or October time, and that might mean that the Ryzen 9000 processors, while better for multi-thread and better generally for gaming, struggle to dethrone chips like this, the 7800X3D, a CPU you can actually find right now for about $380. What's more, even once Ryzen 9000 CPUs come out, the next-gen motherboards designed for these chips are not actually expected until about September or October time. Now, you will be able to use Ryzen 9000 processors on B650 and X670 motherboards, which is a big win, but you may want, especially on the high end, we're talking the Ryzen 9 CPUs, to get access to the higher bandwidth and additional features that newer next-gen motherboards are likely to offer. We're talking about things like Wi-Fi 7, USB 4, the kind of features you're not going to find on even the priciest X670 570E motherboard designs. Pricing on Ryzen 9000, if AMD's historic market values are anything to go by, will also fall at a rapid pace, meaning by about Christmas time, the CPUs could be significantly cheaper than what they are when they came out. I'll give you one quick example. The Ryzen 5 7600X, which I really like, had an MSRP of $289 when it first came out. You can now commonly find it for a little over $200, and this seems to be AMD's big problem. They don't release things at reasonable prices, people complain, the prices come down, when they could have just got the price right in the first place. But we're not gonna go into that. So that's AMD CPUs. What about Intel? Haven't they got new 15th gen chips coming soon, which hopefully will be immune from a lot of these voltage instability issues currently seen on 13th and 14th gen? Yes, and in fact, I think our review conclusion for Ryzen 9000, without spoiling anything, will be wait for 15th gen. Not because we necessarily know it's going to be better, but because we don't know, and you want to find out before spending $400-500 on a CPU where the better is immediately on the way. It doesn't always make sense to wait, but if it's a few weeks or a couple of months, it starts to become a more feasible prospect. Intel 15th gen is fully ground up, new architecture, new socket, more pins, and while we don't know officially when it's going to launch, it's highly expected that this too will be before the end of the year. And you can guarantee if that is the case, Intel will want to get stocks within retailers and system integrators in time for Christmas. Whether or not the current 13th and 14th gen fiasco will slow things down is of course yet to be seen. So that's new CPUs and new motherboards, but what about graphics cards, the most important component in any PC build? Now you will know that obviously recently Nvidia refreshed their 40 series with Super, and generally it's been pretty successful. AMD have struggled to compete with the likes of the 4080 since it first landed, and have got frankly no answer to the 4090, and we're not expecting one of those anytime soon either. But I have to say I think the rumours of new Nvidia GPUs pretty much immediately might be a little bit overblown. And you only have to look at Nvidia's historic launch patterns to see why this might be the case. They first announced 20 series back in the summer of 2018, with RTX 30 series being announced late in the summer of 2020. 2 years later, RTX 40 series arrived in November of 2022. Now this looks like a 2-year gap between generations, which would slate 50 series for about November 2024. Now again, Nvidia, if they are going to release a new generation of GPUs, will want enough stock in time for Christmas for those cards to sell during the busy holiday period. And you have to remember too, that RTX 40 series Super didn't launch that long ago. What's more, competition from AMD is currently very weak at the top end of the stack. Yes, AMD have got cards that can compete on the lower end against the 4060, 60 Ti, 70 and 70 Ti Super, but the 4080, 80 Super and 90 currently seem to glide at the top without much competition. This is reinforced by recent leaks which indicate it may be announced at CES 2025, which continues a pattern of Nvidia releasing things at large events. And again, when it comes to these cards, we're perhaps only expecting the 5090, 80 and maybe 70 to launch at least to begin with. Yes, Nvidia could surprise us and release the whole lot, but that's not typically how they do things. So to summarise then, should you wait or not? And is now really a bad time to build? Well, certainly I would wait and see what happens with the CPU market first. And if you're not desperate to build a gaming PC, waiting for Ryzen 9000 and preferably the X3D variants, which are currently rumoured to land late in September alongside new motherboards, could be a good shout. Don't expect too much movement in the GPU market this side of the year. I think that could be a next year job. And again, remember, when those cards come out, they won't be cheap. As far as Intel goes, I'm afraid to say I would recommend straying away completely at the moment. There are some good deals to be had on 13th and 14th gen CPUs, and we like particular chips such as the i5 14600K due to their massive core advantage over the AMD counterparts. This video is not intended to say Intel CPUs are terrible and you should never touch any of them, but as far as waiting for 15th gen, I certainly don't think that is a bad idea. So there are good things and bad things about building a gaming PC right now. I think normally I'd be of the opinion that you just build it. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? But with firm release dates for Ryzen 9000, strong indications of new Intel CPUs, and a dose of skepticism when it comes to new graphics cards, there's certainly some reason to hold out at least for a little bit before building your next gaming PC. What do you guys think of the market right now? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to get subscribed. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.